I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Donald Trump is terrified of Michael Cohen in a case that Donald Trump brought against Michael Cohen, where Trump is suing Michael Cohen in a federal court in the Southern District of Florida for $500 million. You would think normally the person getting sued for $500 million would be saying, whoa, we gotta slow it down here. Not Michael Cohen, because he knows he's going to prevail in this frivolous case filed by Donald Trump. Donald Trump wanted the headline, "Look, everybody, I sued Michael Cohen for $500 million. Trump also wanted to use that to threaten other witnesses in cases against him. You see, you testify against me the way Cohen did, I'll sue you for $500 million. I don't care how frivolous the case is. Well, like all things Donald Trump does, it's fascism meets idiocracy, and usually even the fascism is overwhelmed by the absurd idiocracy that Trump's plans are never thought through and almost always backfire. That's exactly what is happening here, because Michael Cohen brought on a brilliant legal team, and Cohen's legal team then said, okay, bet. You sued Michael Cohen for $500 million. We would like your deposition. So first, Cohen's lawyers set the deposition of Donald Trump. Trump's lawyer said, oh, no. We need a protective order. Cohen then said, nope, we don't think there should be a broad protective order. You're suing me. Trump brought all these very outlandish allegations against me, these frivolous allegations, brought me into a court in Florida, Southern District of Florida, seeking $500 million. And Donald Trump's arguing, this is actually the argument by Donald Trump. Trump's arguing in his motion for a protective order that if Cohen were to make this deposition public, it would harm Donald Trump's reputation. Well, Trump, I think you've done that to yourself already. And that it would cause Donald Trump embarrassment. And Trump does not want to be embarrassed. And so Donald Trump said, that's why we got to keep these depositions a secret. And Donald Trump's doing everything he can to resist this deposition. Well, the deposition is scheduled for September 6th, and a hearing in this case of Trump v. Cohen in the Southern District of Florida is scheduled for August 17th. I got to speak with Michael Cohen, you'll hear from him in just a moment, about this hearing on August 17th, as well as Cohen's relentless effort to get Donald Trump's deposition and to make that deposition public and available, because why would these proceedings be confidential? There should be nothing confidential about these things at all. So Michael Cohen, his lawyers, will be going into court August 17th. And as Michael Cohen says in this clip, and you'll hear from him in just a moment of when I interviewed him or when we spoke, he's my co-host on Political Beatdown. Make sure you subscribe to it. That, ultimately they're going to ask Trump questions, I presume, about everything related to them working together, including all of Donald Trump's crimes. And with Donald Trump's case right now in Manhattan, district attorney case in Manhattan, with for hush money payments to a porn star, with the two cases brought by special counsel Jack Smith, one in the Southern District of Florida, the other case in federal court in Washington, D.C., the soon-to-be brought case by Fani Willis in Fulton County. Donald Trump has the right to invoke the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination in those criminal cases, but in a civil case that he's filed against Cohen, if he invokes the Fifth, case kind of get dismissed. It's going to be an adverse inference against him. So is Trump going to dismiss this case? Then will Cohen go seek sanctions against Donald Trump? But Trump is now terrified to sit for a deposition in the case that Donald Trump brought against Michael Cohen. So let's hear what Michael Cohen has to say about the Trump v. Cohen case in the Southern District of Florida, where Trump sued him. Play the clip.
Oh boy. So let's go to the Donald Trump versus Michael Cohen matter. August 17th, we are scheduled for a hearing regarding the discovery schedule that is due. And one of the topics, of course, is exactly this. What is the scope, for example, of the deposition? Interestingly enough, counsel wants a very specific set of topics that will be discussed. Of course, my counsel refuses to provide such a request. Is absolutely unheard of, and it is solely it's just unprofessional to even ask, hey, what are you going to ask my client? Well, maybe you want a list of the questions in advance. So clearly what's going to happen there is they're going to move for a protective order. They're going to try to prevent the September 6th deposition, which again, I do not believe that Donald will show up for. I believe that they will try whatever they can do in order to delay it, whether it's delay it by a month, 2 months, 3 months, or what have you. Obviously, my counsel is preparing for whatever fight that will exist with that specific matter. The deposition of Donald is key. It is key in this case because he brought a $500 million lawsuit against me for various allegations. And again, to those of you who have donated to the fund, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. This could not be going on without all of your support and all of your help. And, our goal is to hold him accountable. He needs to be held accountable for these frivolous lawsuits that he does, which is retaliatory. And it's also, as far as I'm concerned, a method by Donald to obstruct justice by witness tampering. That's really what I believe that this is. We will leave it in the hands of the judges down there at the Southern District of Miami. And I am relatively certain that we will have the positive outcome in this that we want. That doesn't mean that we're going to end up getting Donald's deposition. There's a better than likely chance, in my estimation, that the bulk of all the questions that will be asked of Donald will not be answered on the grounds of the Fifth Amendment, the right against self-incrimination, which you may have seen his lawyer, Alejandro Brito, already put into a motion, which we talked about on the last Political Beatdown. Well, I should say that we talked about it. We made fun of. It's an absolutely ridiculous argument that he can't answer certain questions because of ongoing investigations. And by answering the questions during this deposition, which we would want to be made available to all of you, we want it to be we want transparency in the system. And by doing so, Donald believes that this will, of course, implicate him in crimes. So it's a very interesting argument to make. I don't believe it will succeed, but then again, hell, you never know.
So let me get this straight. Tough guy Donald Trump sues you in the Southern District of Florida, hauls you into court, makes all of these disparaging statements about you, has his lawyers do a press tour, leaks the filing to the press, sues you, Michael Cohen, for $500 million. So you go, bet, okay, I'd like some discovery here because you're suing me. You're making these disparaging remarks about me. So I'd like your deposition. Trump's lawyers go, we have a lot of things here that we're focused on right now, like Donald Trump's reputational interest, and he may be invoking his Fifth Amendment right. And there's all these criminal cases. So even though Donald Trump sued you, Michael Cohen, he's very busy. This all needs to be done in secret, even though the law says that Cohen's entitled to all information reasonably calculated to lead to the discovery of admissible evidence. That's the standard for discovery in federal court. Donald Trump really just wants to talk about, and I'm making this up, but he would prefer to talk about Hunter Biden. He wants to talk about how President Joe Biden drinking a cup of coffee is somehow harassing him. I'm not sure if you saw that Donald Trump put that in a legal filing when he was opposing, and the irony here is so obvious, while he was opposing a protective order being proposed, a standard protective order by special counsel Jack Smith. One of Trump's things is, oh, I need this protective order not to be in place because look at what Joe Biden is doing by drinking a cup of coffee, and that's harassing and intimidating me. This is actually in the legal filing by Trump's lawyers. Like, you can't make this up. It goes, President Biden has likewise capitalized on the indictment, posting a thinly veiled reference to his administration's prosecution of President Trump just hours before arraignment. Let me get that straight too. So the MAGA Republicans use the term "Let's go Brandon" as coded language for "F you Brandon" because they're petulant third grade fascist bullies. And then when President Biden makes a joke about them saying "F you" to him, that's now intimidating them. These people are the ultimate, oh, I'm such a victim, I'm such a coward. And that's what it is here with your case.
You know, Ben, I'll tell you that truly you're not wrong. They are a bunch of snowflakes here. But the part that bothers me the most, you might have seen, and I think, again, we talked about it a couple of days ago. Donald Trump put out a tweet, and Salty, if you still have it, if you can kind of throw it up there. If you come after me, I'm coming after you. Now, I've said this on television, and I've said this to the press and anybody else that reached out to me. I spoke about it first here on Political Beatdown with you, our brigaders. And one of the things that people better understand is that these threats by Donald Trump, they are not idle threats. They are legitimate. Whether or not Donald wants to or intends to do it himself, what he's expecting is that others, right, these same fools that charged the People's House, the Capitol, on January 6th, will do something again. So this is a real problem. And one thing that upset me a lot is, as this was being covered by the media, by mainstream media or by cable news outlets, they're talking about, for example, how Jack Smith is being threatened, how Alvin Bragg is being threatened, how Fani Willis is being threatened. And the answer is yes, they are. But I also want to remind everybody that these folks have round-the-clock security. They have police that escort them around from place to place in their place of business, their work. They have police around them all the time. The thing that people aren't talking about is, what about the witnesses? What about all of the people who have to come in and testify? They're not covered, and they're not provided any form of protection by government, whether it's by the state or the city, as in the case of the Manhattan DA, or by the federal government. They are not. And this is very, very dangerous because, again, we never know what can happen. We never know what will trigger one of these MAGA maniacs to do something stupid, like the multitude of them that will sit in front of a judge and say, I stormed the Capitol, I did what I was told to do by former President Donald J. Trump. He told me to go to the Capitol. He told us to fight.
So, folks, it's that simple. It's that simple. And again, we're seeing more and more examples of what happens when you stand up to the bully like Donald Trump. I know the Republicans have let Donald Trump's ranting and ravings and all capital letter posts or tweets or X's or social media posts on his platform scare them. But it's because they have no spine. When people like Cohen and others stand up to Trump, he backs down all the time. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Check out the new home for all things MeidasTouch. That's MeidasTouch.com. Check us out wherever you get audio podcasts. Subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast. Subscribe to the Political Beatdown podcast, and have a great day.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.